In this life, we often encounter situations where we feel wronged, mistreated, or unfairly judged. The natural human response is to seek revenge, to make those who hurt us feel the pain they caused. However, as Christians, we are called to rise above these instincts and trust in God's justice. This message is about understanding why we should leave vengeance to God, and how doing so can lead to a life of peace, trust, and divine protection. When someone hurts us, our immediate reaction might be anger and the desire for retribution. This is a normal human emotion, but it's crucial to remember that acting on these impulses can lead to more harm than good. By taking matters into our own hands, we risk perpetuating a cycle of pain and suffering. Instead, we are encouraged to step back and allow God to handle the situation. God sees all, knows all, and His justice is perfect. Trusting God with our grievances is not about being passive or ignoring the wrongs done to us. It's about having faith that God is in control and that He will take care of things in His own time. This trust requires patience and a deep understanding of God's nature. God is just, loving, and all-knowing. He understands our pain and will bring about justice in the best way possible. One of the most comforting aspects of trusting God with our need for justice is the assurance of His protection. God is always watching over us, even in our darkest moments. This divine protection doesn't mean we will never face challenges or adversities. Rather, it means that God is with us, guiding us, and keeping us safe from ultimate harm. He sees the bigger picture and knows what is best for us in the long run. When we choose to let go of our desire for vengeance, we make room for God's peace to enter our hearts. This peace is a profound sense of calm and assurance that comes from knowing that God is in control. It allows us to move forward in life without being weighed down by bitterness and resentment. By forgiving those who wronged us and leaving justice to God, we free ourselves from the burden of anger and pain. This journey of trusting God with our need for vengeance is not always easy. It requires faith, patience, and a willingness to surrender our control to God. It's about believing that God is just and that He will take care of us. This trust is built over time through prayer, reflection, and a deepening relationship with God. When we look at the lives of people who have chosen to trust God with their grievances, we often see a common thread of resilience and peace. These individuals have experienced the transformative power of God's justice and protection. They have learned that letting go of vengeance allows them to focus on the positive aspects of life, to grow in their faith, and to experience true joy and contentment. One example is the story of Nelson Mandela, who, after spending 27 years in prison, emerged with a spirit of forgiveness and reconciliation. He chose not to seek revenge against those who had oppressed him and his people. Instead, he worked towards healing and unity. Mandela's life demonstrates that true strength lies in forgiveness and trust in a higher power. As we navigate our own lives, we will inevitably face situations where we are wronged. In these moments, we have a choice. We can seek revenge and perpetuate a cycle of pain, or we can trust in God's justice and find peace. Letting go of vengeance is an act of faith, a declaration that we believe in God's wisdom and timing. By choosing to trust God, we also set an example for others. Our actions can inspire those around us to also let go of their need for revenge and embrace a life of forgiveness and peace. We become beacons of hope and faith, showing that it is possible to overcome hurt and anger through trust in God. Consider the words of Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount, found in Matthew 5:44. "But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you." This teaching is revolutionary and goes against our natural inclinations, but it embodies the essence of Christian love and trust in God. Loving our enemies and praying for those who wrong us is one of the most powerful ways to demonstrate our faith and reliance on God's justice. In practical terms, what does it mean to let go of vengeance and trust in God? It means actively choosing to forgive, even when it feels impossible. Forgiveness is not about condoning the wrongs done to us or forgetting them. It's about releasing the hold that anger and resentment have on our hearts. It's about trusting that God will handle the situation in His way and in His time. When we feel overwhelmed by anger or the desire for revenge, it can be helpful to focus on the bigger picture of God's plan for our lives. Remember that God's wisdom far exceeds our understanding, and He can see the outcomes that we cannot. Trusting in His plan means believing that He will bring justice in a way that is perfect and complete, even if it takes longer than we would like. Engaging in acts of kindness and service can also help shift our focus away from our desire for vengeance. By helping others and spreading love, we can transform our negative emotions into positive actions. This not only helps us heal, but also allows us to be a force for good in the world, reflecting God's love and grace. It's crucial to recognize that holding on to anger and seeking revenge ultimately harms us more than anyone else. It can consume our thoughts, drain our energy, and prevent us from experiencing the fullness of life that God desires for us. By releasing these burdens to God, we free ourselves to live with joy and purpose. Reflecting on God's character can further strengthen our resolve to trust Him with our grievances. God is a righteous judge who sees every injustice and wrong. His sense of justice is perfect and unerring, far beyond our human understanding. When we remember that God is just and that He cares deeply for us, we can find comfort in knowing that He will act on our behalf. As we grow in our trust in God, we may also find that our perspective on justice changes. Rather than seeking retribution, we begin to desire healing and restoration for all involved, including those who wronged us. This shift in perspective is a testament to the transformative power of God's love and grace in our lives. Letting go of vengeance and trusting in God's justice allows us to live more fully in the present. We are not bogged down by past hurts or consumed by thoughts of revenge. Instead, we can focus on the blessings in our lives and the opportunities to grow and serve others. This freedom enables us to experience the fullness of life that God intends for us. Our willingness to forgive and trust in God's justice can also be a powerful witness to others. In a world often marked by retaliation and grudges, choosing forgiveness and trust in God stands out as a profound testament to our faith. Our actions can inspire others to seek God and embrace a life of forgiveness and peace. In the end, the choice to let go of vengeance and trust in God's justice is a decision that leads to true freedom. It is an act of faith that opens our hearts to God's peace and protection. It allows us to live in the assurance that God is in control and that His justice will prevail. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to share it with others. Subscribe to our channel for more content that uplifts and inspires, helping us spread the word of God. Remember, God is just. He is always with you, and His justice will prevail. Trust in Him, let go of vengeance, and embrace the peace that only He can provide. Your life is about to change. This message is just the beginning. God's justice is at work, and His hand of protection is upon you. Those who have wronged you will face His righteous judgment. God is not only loving, but also a just judge who will not let the guilty go unpunished. He is your shield and your fortress, and His justice will be served. Keep your faith strong and your heart open, for God's transformative power is ready to bring you into a new season of peace, joy, and divine justice.